Hey guys, Dan Budd here. I'm an assistant scoutmaster with Troop 42 in Red Hook, New York, and I just returned from Philmont Scout Ranch, and we had 9 boys and 3 adults out there. I was the lead advisor, and we spent about 18 months, I guess, getting ready for Philmont, taking various backpacking trips. And I'm here today to do a little review of the gear I took to Philmont and kind of talk about each piece. I hope this will be helpful to you. And I'm also hoping it'll be helpful to me because I really want to go back and I think I'm going to need to review my own packing for next time as well. So here we go. So first I'll just do a scan of my gear and then we'll go ahead, and talk about each piece and some of the positives and negatives of things that you're carrying. So right out here on the bed is every single thing that I brought with me. Okay, so let's start with the big three. The big three being your backpack, your shelter, and your sleeping system. So my backpack was this Mariposa, Gossamer Gear Mariposa. This is a frameless pack. It just has an aluminum stay inside which helps it to keep its shape. And the only other kind of structural thing is maybe this foam back pad. I think we call it a sit-light pad. This backpack was fabulous. I've been hiking with this for about 2 years now, and I just love it. It's only 1 pound, so that's phenomenal to start that low with your backpack when a lot of today's backpacks are anywhere from 5 to 8 pounds. It has these nice little pocket zippers where I would keep things that I needed quick to reach. In fact, this was my tool pouch, so I would have my knife, my flashlight, I would have my compass and things like that in here, and actually on this side was quick to reach medication, so I had little bags of medications that I might need while hiking. The nice thing about this pad here is every time that we needed to stop and get a rest, even when the bag's full, I can easily pop this out. I could fold it over or lean it up against a tree and have a great, comfortable seat in it. Well, all of this together weighs 1 pound, so you can tell that this weighs very little, probably about 4 ounces. And I just have my Philmont tag on the pack here, which was my ID, and it gives me a little bit of help with some of the prayers and other things we needed. And I did put some clothespins on here, which I hung my laundry from when we were hiking down the trail. And this outside pocket on the Gossamer Gear pack is just awesome because it's like super stretchable. At one point I even took someone else's tent and shoved it in here with all my stuff to lighten up their weight, and it fit perfectly. So that's the backpack. My sleeping system was a down sleeping bag. I know that there's, we can talk about sleeping bags a lot, but mainly you use synthetic or down. Synthetic pros are that they are going to keep you warm when they're getting wet, and they're getting lighter, but the cons are that they're usually a little heavier. The down bags are going to be your warmest bag for weight. This is a Marmot Plasma 40, so it's a 40-degree bag, and the problem with down, though, of course, is if it gets wet, you're in trouble. So I was just very careful to make sure my bag stayed dry. Philmont does suggest that you have a 20-degree bag, and I found that most 20-degree bags are minimum 3 pounds. I really wanted a light sleeping bag, so this is 1 pound. And that's pretty hard to find unless you go to a quilt system, which a lot of quilt systems are even lighter. And what I did to get this down in temperature is I got this Sea to Summit liner, which gives me another 15 degrees down. So these two together really, they worked me down to a 25-degree system, and I was fine with that. So that's my sleep system. I should, not to kind of skip off to the shelter yet, but at Philmont they require you to have sleeping clothes. And this is essentially because if you did get food on your clothes at mealtime, and then those clothes were the clothes you had in your tent with you, you would be smellable and you would attract bears. So they require you to have sleeping clothes that stay with your sleeping bag. So mine were these liner socks, super light. I don't wear liner socks hiking, but I love to slip my dirty feet into these and into my sleeping bag at night. I also had a very light Under Armour synthetic t-shirt, and then these are some Ibex wool long johns, merino wool long johns, which I just love. And I use those for my sleeping clothes. And I should mention that these were also doubling for thermal layers if I really needed them on cold days, and I did need them. My shelter is a Big Agnes copper spur. I got this new for the trip. It's a two-man tent, and my nephew and I actually shared this. He was another adult advisor. I think this tent's something like 3 pounds 14 ounces or something like that. So when we shared it, I pretty much had less than 2 pounds in my shelter. At Philmont you can't use a tarp system or hammocks, so you need to have a tent, and you can't use a one-man tent because several one-man tents have a lot more impact on the campsite than 2 or 3-man tents. So this is the Glow series, and I didn't really expect or want to buy the gimmick of having LED lights in my tent and a little battery and a little switch to turn them on, but I have to say I loved it. I loved being able to just turn those lights on and not have to kind of rely on my headlamp flashing all over the place. The Glow lights have a low setting and a brighter setting, and it just made it very homey, and it was a nice luxury to have, and I don't think it adds a lot of weight. And so yeah, the tent, the fly, the floor, and then the poles. And we actually packed the poles and the floor in one bag for my nephew to carry, and I took the tent, body, and the fly. And we shared taking the stakes. We had 5 stakes with us. Okay. Going back to the sleep system, I used a Thermarest Neo Air. I love this pad. I sleep on this as good as I do at home. The only thing about this one, maybe it's an early one, maybe they fixed this, but it is a little bit noisy when you roll around, crinkly kind of. It takes me 22 breaths to blow it up, and I'm okay with that. So I blow it up as firm as I can, and I use this also with another sleeping bag in colder weather, a Big Agnes Lost Ranger, which is a 15-degree bag, and this slides into the sleeve on the Lost Ranger. I didn't want to take that sleeping bag because it's about 3 pounds, and so just use this pad with my marmot. Okay, other things that we saw here in gear, well, this was my sleeping bag stuff sack, so it's a waterproof Sea to Summit, and I was able to get my sleeping clothes, my liner, and my sleeping bag in here, and this thing was about the size of a football, so nice and small. I fit it in the bottom of my pack with my sleeping pad, then started to put heavier things in the middle and lighter things towards the top. It's required to have rain gear at Philmont, and it's always good to have rain gear whenever you go backpacking. I used Eastern Mountain Sports breathable rain jacket. It doubled as my wind jacket. It's a little bit heavier than some really super light rain jackets, but I really liked it. I guess it's heavier because it does have a number of different zippers and things, but it just was very practical for me. It's also a little bit large on me, and my thermal layer, one of them, under that jacket was this Montbell down parka, and this is one of my favorite pieces of gear because one night it was so cold I even slept with this on too. and it's one of those, you know, I guess Patagonia made these pretty popular in the beginning. This Montbell jacket only weighs 8 ounces with the stuff sack, and yeah, I loaned it to my nephew when I went to bed and he wanted to stay up playing cards with the boys, and yeah, it kept us very warm. So that's that. The rain pants that I used are, I thought I had some pre-sip rain pants, but I tried them on and they were kind of heavy, and I didn't really like how my boots couldn't get in and out of them. They had like a Velcro-y zipper thing, and I didn't want to mess with that. I found these Red Ledge rain pants, which are a little bit heavy too, I think, but I like that I could just take them out and whip them on over my boots, and they're still muddy from the trip, and they worked fine. I might look for something a little lighter in the future. You have to have some sort of wool cap. I have just this Columbia thin kind of reflector cap. That worked fine for keeping my head warm, and I did use that at night sleeping. Up on Comanche Peach we got down into the low 20s probably, and this was August, so you know you can get the cold weather there. Some thin liner gloves, very lightweight. I used those too hiking when we were on Comanche Peak. So we've gone through the big three, and I'm kind of shooting through some other things here. I used the Black Diamond hiking poles. If you haven't used trekking poles in the past, I recommend them very highly for adults at least. They are said to take about 30% of the pressure off your lower joints, and you do learn to climb a lot with your upper body. And these guys have saved me from several slips and falls because I rely on them. And these had kind of like triple use. They were my hiking poles. Actually, I don't see it out here yet, but I have a little thing called a stick pick, which slides onto here, and the camera I'm using right now screws onto the stick pick, and you essentially have a extremely long selfie pole. And I had all the scouts carry this at one point and basically talk to themselves while they're walking down the trail for a video we made of our trip. So that was number 2. Number 3, these poles were the actual poles for our dining fly, and our dining fly was one of these sil nylon, super lightweight. Now Philmont does give you gear that you have to take on the trip, but if you can duplicate that with your own gear, they're fine with that as long as it qualifies for them. I believe the qualification for the dining fly is at least 10 by 12 feet, and I heard that their dining fly was around 6 pounds, and I was trying to help the crew out by lightening things up. So this is a 2-pound sil nylon 10 by 12 dining fly, and I did get some extra stakes for it, these aluminum stakes, which worked fine. And it has 12 stakes, and with my 2 trekking poles, loved it. Went up fast, came down fast, kept things dry if we needed to. We didn't need to dine under it. We did put some backpacks under it each night. Moving along, my camera, I used this little tripod. You can wrap it around trees and put it just about anywhere. This I used just once, so I would question whether I would bring this again. It's a little bit of a pain. I was worried about this threaded end cutting into my backpack when I put it away all the time. But yeah, that's something I'm going to think about. For water, I used 2 of these 2-liter platypus bags. I've used these backpacking for years. You can kind of tell they're all beat up. And I love these because they weigh almost nothing when you have them in your pack, and when you need to bring extra water to a dry camp, you can fill these up and really get a large volume of water with you in a short amount of time. And my regular drinking water bottles were these smart water bottles. Actually, I just grabbed these from a new case, but because the ones that I had in Philmont I threw away or recycled before I left there because I didn't want to have to pack them home. And this little clear wide mouth, you could use a Gatorade bottle or something for a wide mouth. The nice reason to have a wide mouth is they do give you several powdered drinks, and so it's just easy to pour those powders in and shake it up, and you have a 1 liter bottle for your electrolyte drink. Something important about this is you don't want to start putting flavored drinks in all your various bottles, because anything that gets a flavored drink in it becomes a personal smellable, and then it has to go up in the bear bag, so you end up losing all your bottles to the bear bag for the night. So you try to just use that one that you would do that to and have your other ones for water. So my capacity for water was essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 liters, which is 3 liters over what they recommend, and I felt that as a leader I needed to have the extra water for the boys if they needed it, and personally I drink a ton of water, so I had it out there. Going on the water, just before the trip, the ranger will do your shakedown with you, and our ranger recommended that we had 2.5 liter, 2.5 gallon dromedary bags. So this is a bulk water bag that you would use when you're in camp. You go to your water source, you purify your water, fill your bag, bring the bags back to camp. If you want, you use that for cooking. If not, you boil your cooking water to purify it and keep that extra water on the side to fill various drinking bottles before you leave in the morning. And I would say that's a pretty good process. It was pretty handy, but it wasn't on my list. So I went to the Tooth of Time Traders and I bought this Platypus 6 liter, which is essentially 2.5 gallon, 1 3/4 gallon water bag, and I hated this thing. And the reason why is because I didn't know that it was a Ziploc on the top. I thought that you just filled it through the spout, and like the other Platypus bags, it was going to be waterproof. And I had kind of a disaster when at night the ranger said any soft water bags like platypuses need to be hidden away in backpacks because the bears like to chew on them. So this had water in it, and I stuffed it down in my backpack and I walked away, and later I came to my backpack and the zip was leaking and the bottom of my backpack was filled with water. So that was almost a really big emergency. Luckily my Montbell, my sleeping bag and all were in waterproof bags, so I got them out and I used my towel to dry my pack out and hung it to dry. It did come in useful for the boys when we did have to use it for the purpose I explained. We filled it up, we brought it back to camp. It's just that you can never pack it with water in it, which is really annoying. So when you're done, you basically just fold it up and stick it in your pack and then use it for the next camp. So I don't know, shame on Platypus, I guess, for this zip here. It's not strong, it easily comes open and your water spills. So I wouldn't get another one of those. So I got this trekking umbrella, which I brought. This guy is not just for rain, but also a sun umbrella. You can reflect a lot with this chrome dome type of reflector on it. This one's a German-made one, I forgot the name. It weighs about 8 ounces, but I can bring it down by cutting off the handle a little bit, and they put these big kind of foam handles on here which aren't really necessary. And I know a guy who got this down to 5 ounces, so I'll probably do that in the future, but I wasn't worried about it for the trip. And something I don't have here, which I did bring, was, oh, here it is. So this is a little Velcro strap, and I found this, I kind of made this up and it worked really well for me, but I would take this Velcro strap and I took my right hand pole and I actually strapped my umbrella to my hiking pole when there was a threat of rain. And that way I could continue hiking, basically rip it off my pole, stuff this Velcro in my pocket, pop my umbrella up, and then when the rain stopped, I just put it back on my pole. And I did not find it inconvenient at all to hike with that strapped to my pole. It's not that much weight, and I don't know, that was my system for that. The trekking umbrella, I think, is a bit of a new thing. Some people look at you and go, you're crazy to bring an umbrella, but people on the Appalachian Trail are saying it's one of their most important and favorite pieces of gear, so I tried it out and I liked it. I think the main reason is that it has the purpose of shading you from sun if you're not in the trees, and also that when you're hiking and you have rain gear on, you tend to sweat like a pig. So even if you have breathable rain gear, so the nice thing about the umbrella is you stay in your shorts, you throw the umbrella up, you keep hiking, you're completely ventilated, you're not sweating, and you're dry from the rain. And with my pack cover on, I could actually take my umbrella, get it over my pack, bring the handle down, and I could tuck the umbrella into my backpack straps and be free-handed and hike, and it would just be like right over my head. It was pretty awesome. But we only got one day of rain, so I carried it the rest of the week for not much other reason, because we were also in the shade. My pack cover is this Sea to Summit lightweight pack cover. I'm not going to take that out. I think you all know what those look like. This is my day pack. You will need a day pack in Philmont because you do take side hikes where you'll set up camp and leave your heavy pack and then go head up a mountain. That doesn't make sense to bring your heavy pack on, but you will need some of those safety items and water to carry. So this is a Sea to Summit day pack. Love this sucker. This thing's only, I don't know, maybe like an ounce or two, and you basically just open it up and you have nice shoulder straps, and you can put a reasonable amount of weight in there and not have it digging into your shoulders. And yeah, that was pretty awesome. I should say with the dromedary that I did have something else that I bought. It's also kind of gimmicky, but I'm going to tell you this thing was pretty useful, and I'm going to use it a lot in the future. This is 1 ounce, and this is a Sea to Summit water bucket. And for 1 ounce, I think this holds over 2 gallons or about 2 gallons of water. And yeah, it's waterproof. You fill this up. You cannot stand it when it's full, but you can hang it from any tree. And so for 1 ounce, to grab 2 gallons of water from your water source and bring it back to camp, pour it in your pot, or maybe you're just going to use it for laundry. You could fill it halfway, put your biodegradable soap in there, do your laundry in there. I mean, it's for 1 ounce. This thing is super handy. Stuffs into this little tiny thing and buttons up. So I'm gonna hike with that forever. My light was just a I don't know, black diamond. Yeah, black diamond. I think Ismo it's called. So nice thing about this is it doesn't have 2 settings when you hit the button, but when you hold the button down, it automatically dims. I love that because I can save battery life. I'm not a lumens guy, and I don't like lots of lumens. I like my eyes to adjust to the dark and just to have a little light when I need it, so that worked out really nice. My communication for this trip was just my iPhone 6 with a Mophie on it. It's heavy. But because I was an advisor, I wanted to be able to make sure that I could call Philmont. I also kind of text parents back home, make sure they knew we were okay. This Mophie gives me 60% more juice. The iPhone 6 has a really long battery life in the first place. I only turned it on to use it quickly and turned it off, so my battery pretty much worked all week. I do have a solar charger I didn't bring because I didn't want to carry the extra weight. One little cord in case I could mooch or had to mooch a little bit of power off someone else's solar pack, and I did that once too, but I probably didn't even need to. Going back to the water, I did bring the Sawyer Mini. Philmont, as you may know, doesn't trust water filters only. You have to use micropure tabs at Philmont, so if you didn't want to bring this, you don't have to. I use this all the time in my other hiking, and I love it. You basically you dunk your smart water bottle in the river, you get your water, you screw this on top, and you can drink purified water. These take out everything. Let's see, 0.1 microns, absolute hollow fiber membrane water filter, but they don't take viruses out, and that's why Philmont makes you use the MicroPure. I believe at this point there is not any known backcountry viruses in the water. Those would be coming from humans in cities. If you were downstream from a city, I would make sure I use those, but these should pretty much protect you. I did use it because sometimes we got water from small streams which had a lot of debris, and I basically didn't want to have that debris in my water with the MicroPure, so I filled this, squirted the water into something else, put the MicroPure in, and I knew I had, you know, really pure water that didn't have some organic matter in it. So that helped me with that, and it doesn't weigh much. My coffee mug, lightweight GSI mug. It's a plastic cup essentially and fits into a foam sleeve. This hangs on the outside of my backpack. I did lose the lid to one of these on my backpack once, so I take the lid and stuff it in a pocket. Pretty much an essential thing for any adult that likes coffee. My eating dish is just a Ziploc bowl, and my spoon is a Sea to Summit titanium spoon. I have a little clip on it in case I want to hang it from my bag, which I'll probably take off because I always put that in a pocket anyways. But the plastic mess kit, don't bring metal mess kits backpacking anymore. Actually, don't even get metal mess kits for scouting in general. They're ridiculous, I think. They make your food cold instantly. They conduct the hot to your hand. You burn your hands on them. They're loud and noisy. I don't know, I could go on and on. Plastic things like this Ziploc container or your local Chinese restaurant gives you nice takeout plastic things that food comes in. They're great for backpacking. They're lightweight. I should say that when I left my phone off, I don't usually wear a watch, so a lot of people today rely on their phones for things like time. And so I have this tiny little watch, which is a trekking kind of watch, not an expensive one, but it has an alarm, and so that was my alarm clock for the morning. I usually hike with this attached to my backpack, and I can look down at it. I hang it upside down so I can just flip it up and see what time it is. I ended up having to take it off of my backpack because at Philmont you can't keep your backpacks near your tent, and I'm used to putting my backpack underneath my vestibule, and so my alarm clock's right there, or I can just look out and or reach out and hit the little light on it and see what time it is in the middle of the night when I wake up. So I had to take this off the backpack and put it in my pocket, and I just put it in the mesh pocket in my tent as our little clock when we were sleeping. The reason you can't keep your backpack near your tent is because that's what the critters might want to get into, and so you have to have it in that Bermuda Triangle. My knife was a Leatherman mini kind of knife. This is, let's see, this one is called the Micra. So it has tweezers for your first aid, and it has Phillips screwdriver and a regular screwdriver and scissors and a can opener and pokers, and has a really sharp little knife and also nail file. Yeah, I love this little thing. I pretty much used everything on it except for the screwdrivers, but those were good to have in case we needed to repair. It's tiny, itty bitty, great for travel. The ranger did recommend that we had one full-size Leatherman for the crew, and one of the boys had one of those, so that was nice. And you know, I just had this little mini. My wallet was essentially a little plastic bag. Kept my money, my credit cards, any kind of things that I needed to have on me. My insurance cards, my son's insurance card, waterproof little baggie. That was in my pocket all the time. A Philmont map of the region. You're either going to get the north sectional or the south sectional where you're hiking. The boys had those too, but of course I always had my map. I didn't bring my compass because we had several people with compasses, so I felt comfortable with that. Let's go to personal smellables, bathroom stuff. I have a sunscreen mini little bottle. It's 70, very protective. Another chapstick, which is also a sunscreen chapstick. I used both of those every day. They were in the front pockets of my pouch, easy to get to, easy to loan out if I needed to get sunscreen on someone else. I cut off a little travel toothbrush, cut off the handles to make it extra light. I used a mini little toothpaste which already had some used because I knew I didn't even need a full one of these for the week. I used a little travel squirt bottle for my biodegradable Dr. Bonner soap, and this is something I never used before. I always used the actual Dr. Bonner's bottles, but I kind of like this. It's not saving me a ton of weight, but I could fill it with what I needed and not carry extra soap. And I found out that when you take this and you squirt it out, it has kind of a flexible spout, and it gives you a portion, and you don't kind of waste soap. And I used that soap to do my laundry and to wash myself. In one camp, Sawmill I think it was, they didn't even let us use this soap, so I didn't. And I was extra stinky like everyone else, but otherwise I use that for all my cleaning. Like I said, it's shampoo, it's wash your face, it's wash your hands, it's wash your body, it's wash your laundry. Since it's a personal smellable, my little Bic lighter emergency fire is also in with my bathroom stuff. Extra battery for the video camera I'm using right now. I used 2 of these. Worked great. I'm actually still working off the battery that I took to Philmont, the second battery. And it's a smellable, so it goes with your personal gear. 1 lightweight Bic razor. I didn't bring shaving cream, I just used the Dr. Bonner soap as my shaving cream. It really foams up pretty good. 1 little emergency mirror, which doubled as my mirror for shaving. And yeah, most guys don't shave at Philmont, but I did. I don't know, I felt a Scout is clean, and I got a little bristly, but I shaved at least twice during the week on the trail. And all this goes in my mini ditty bag, so that is my bathroom stuff. And then I have another ditty bag which is like a 6-liter, and I highly suggest this because what happens is when you come into camp you make 3 piles, a pile of your food, a pile of your personal smellables, and then your crew gear, and then the crew works with that to set up camp. And you end up making a bear bag system where your bags go up and then you have an oops bag. So the oops bag, as it sounds, oops, we forgot to put this up and we have more to put up. So we would wait with our personal smellables to be part of the oops bag, but as you can imagine, that bag becomes a big treasure chest of stuff. I mean, you dump it out in the morning and there's just everybody's trying to sort through to get things, so get one of these. Okay, this is your own personal smellables. Put your name on it if you need to. You know what color it is, you know what it looks like. When they dump the oops bag in the morning, you go and grab 1 bag and you bring it back to your backpack, and then you, for me, I just sorted out my chapstick and my sunscreen, put it in my pockets, and my other bathroom ditty bag went right into my backpack and everything was all together. So highly recommend the oops bag. Oh, and sorry, missed a few things that were in there. I have this sponge. I was watching this guy who hiked the Pacific Crest Trail, and he was saying how he kept, you know, from being a really stinky dirtbag hiker to by actually having a sponge. He highly recommended it. You can put soap on this. So when you wash, you put soap on your body and you're rubbing it around, it kind of goes away. So when you kind of soap up a sponge, you can use that sponge to wash your body, and I think the soap goes further. And this thing, if it weighs 3 grams, I'd be surprised. It's basically a cut piece of sponge with 2 different sides, a soft side and a more abrasive side, and I don't know, it's a dish sponge, but worked great. A little bit of bug repellent. This was not full when I left. It's a little Coleman 100 Max DEET. Had to use that only once. The bugs weren't too bad. This is my repair kit. It's essentially a threaded needle of dental floss. So that doubles as dental floss if you need dental floss, and it's also super strong thread if you had to sew up a backpack. And this is a Gorilla repair tape. And I like the case that came in, so that became my repair case. This is just a pencil for taking notes for first aid if we needed. I do have a couple of Band-Aids stuffed down in here. I will say that another adult advisor carried the actual first aid kit. You're going to need that, and you should look at Philmont's list of recommended first aid kit supplies to bring. But on my pencil I did tape some, I think it's called leaky tape, and it's a special tape people were talking about that helps really well with hot spots, better than moleskin, and we used almost all of it, so I think that was well worth it. My towel was a regular pack towel, one kind of like a chamois towel. In the future, I'm not sure I would bring the whole case for the towel, because you end up hanging it on your bag to dry anyways, and then you can kind of stuff it in your bag. I never found that the pack towel dries inside the mesh bag anyways. I guess it's supposed to be breathable, but it's not really on the back, it's only the front, and when it's folded up in there it doesn't dry and it ends up stinking, so probably do away with the case for it. I wanted to mention that when you go to Philmont, if you have personal medical prescription drugs, you need to bring the original case for your medical recheck, but you don't have to carry this on the trail. So what I did was I just took little snack bags and put my medicines in there that I needed for the week, and took some masking tape and basically labeled exactly what it was, so in case anybody needed to medicate me, or they found the bags, they would say exactly what they were with the dose, and everything that was on the bottle is written on the bag. And it's super light, and as I showed you, it packs in the front of my backpack pocket, and that's very convenient, and I felt I could get my medicines on the trail if I needed. My crew gear, as I showed you before, was the dining fly, but I also had to get this rock climbing grade, I forget, I want to say this is a climbing quality carabiner. So a lot of your carabiners that are out there that are like keychains and so forth are not meant to hold human weight. This one is, and this is actually used for the oops bag. So they hook it to the first bear bags and then throw a rope through it, so when the oops bag needs to go up, that can be very heavy, it slides up with that. So that was another piece of gear I had to get there I didn't know about. I love this. I love this. This is my pillow. I've always just used a sleeping bag, stuff sack, and put a few clothes in there and used it as my pillow. I am one of those guys that kind of needs a pillow to sleep well, and I saw this in Camp Moore, and it's essentially a felt stuff sack, so it's another Sea to Summit product. They're just, oh no it isn't, Cordura fabric. Anyways, it's a waterproof on the outside, and the inside is this super soft felt, and it doesn't weigh much more than any other stuff sack, very light, and I put all my clothes in this, and then that was my pillow. Love that thing. That's going hiking with me forever. So my clothes pretty much followed the Philmont suggestions. I brought 3 pair of socks. I like the Vermont Darn Tough merino wool socks. They're not tiny short ones, but they're not the full-size crew. I like to have the extra because I don't have them here. Sorry, that's one thing missing. But I use Dirty Girl gaiters, which are little light nylon gaiters, and you need some length of sock for those to actually kind of grip on. So I have 3 pairs of socks. One pair that I didn't really mean to bring was a pair of Fit merino wool socks. They're full-size crew, but I appreciated having them when I needed the extra warmth, because these these Darn Tough light hikers were not quite as warm as these. So those were my 3 pairs of socks. My underwear is basically the lightest synthetic Under Armour underwear I could get. You know, your Boy Scouts can get very cheap synthetic underwear now at Walmart. You have to have synthetic underwear. The Ranger wouldn't let us leave with cotton underwear. Of course, cotton is rotten, and cotton kills, as they say. It doesn't dry. It takes the moisture, puts it on your body, and sucks all the heat out of you. So this here is a lightweight synthetic hiking shirt, nothing special there. I think it is Under Armour, but that's just because I happened to find it and was really light, and I was in the Under Armour store. These are running shorts, so my second pair of shorts. I lightened these up by actually cutting the liner right out of them, so they had kind of like the underwear liner. I guess I could have maybe shorted 1 pair of underwear and kept the liner in there, but I like just lightening these up to almost nothing by having that out. I had 2 long sleeve shirts. They recommend 1. It's because I like this Mountain Hardwear Cool, Max Cool or whatever it's called. It's kind of like an air conditioned shirt. It's a shirt that, I don't know what it does, but it does keep you cool, and it's very, very light and synthetic. And I found that it's also kind of like a nice long sleeve undershirt to keep you warm as well. So I wore that on the cold nights. And for the first time ever, I brought a collared shirt. I know Columbia makes several hiking shirts with collars. This is an Eddie Bauer, and I got it on sale, and it's like 30 bucks, and I love it. This was nice because you felt when you got to base camp that you weren't some dirtbag hiker. You had a little bit nicer shirt to wear. I like to wear it hiking because it's synthetic and it doesn't make you hot, and you can roll the sleeves up 3/4 and button them and almost be having like a short sleeve shirt on. The collar protects your neck from the sun. If you want to protect your arms from the sun, you put it all the way down to your wrist on the arms. Love it. It's basically like a super light jacket. And on those mornings when you need the layers, you can strip down and you have the shirt on. It's just another one of those layers. I think at times they had like a 5-layer system, and I could just work my way down and not sweat, but feel comfortable. Geez, the bed is almost empty. I guess it is empty. I went through everything. So the only thing I didn't show you was my Dirty Girl gaiters. I don't know where they are. And also my hiking shoes, which are Rocklight 295s. So they're very light, low shoes. I didn't wear hiking boots. I don't like hiking boots. They seem to be heavy, and I don't think that the upper on a hiking boot actually saves you from twisting your ankle. It might even hurt you more because you kind of have your ankles are weak because you're always kind of crutching them with those. I've hiked for 18 months now with the low cut light shoes, and my ankles are stronger. So here it goes. My base weight for my pack and all the stuff I showed you was 17 pounds. And when I packed all the food that Philmont gave me and all my water, which wasn't 7, I only did 7 when we went into dry camp, but I carried 5, 4.5 to 5 most of the time. The heaviest my bag was 33 pounds. And I worked a long time to try to get it at that. So for your ultralight hikers, that might be ludicrous. But we have to remember that Philmont's a different place. And I have heard ultralight hikers kind of put down Philmont for teaching scouts the wrong way. But I don't think that being ultralight is the goal of Philmont. The goal is the whole process. It's the process of being outdoors and finding your way with a map and compass and working as a team, and character, citizenship, and fitness. You know, it's about the aims of scouting. It's not just about being ultralight. That said, a lot of adults had 50-pound packs. I can't imagine carrying a 50-pound pack for 12 to 15 miles on some of Philmont's trails. I couldn't do it personally, and I think I did pretty good with being about 33 pounds at the heaviest. And as I told you, there's some things like this tripod, you know, maybe I wouldn't take. I probably could cut it down even more. I would definitely not go to Philmont again as an adult advisor without a mini stove of my own. The stove at Philmont, they suggest a white gas stove. We used one Brunton and one Whisperlight, and that meant those were crew stoves. And when I woke up early, as you do in altitude, it's hard to sleep. You wake up, you want to have a cup of cocoa or coffee or tea. You're kind of stuck because the bear bag is holding the stove in the first place. I would never go back without having my own personal little stove, and I would put it in the oops bag. And if I was up before anyone else, I would drop the oops bag in the morning, grab my stove, make my coffee. You just kind of need that, especially on a cold morning when you want to warm yourself up. So I guess I'm getting a little long-winded here, but remember, this is for me too in the future, so I can kind of review what I need to bring. And I hope it helps other adults. There's an investment in this stuff, but if you do a lot of backpacking with your scouts, if you do a lot of personal backpacking, it's going to help you anyways. And you certainly could go excuse me, you certainly could go with a 3-pound or 4-pound backpack as well and still be, you know, under 40 pounds. So. Hey, you might be asking, where is his toilet paper? Where is his trowel? Actually, that was part of crew gear, and everybody had different pieces of crew gear, so I was just covering what I was carrying. I suggest you do get into Philmont's website and find out what crew gear is, but I showed you a little bit of it. So, hey, go take a hike. Thanks, Philmont. We had a great time, and I hope you guys benefit from this and have a great time too. Bye-bye.